Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome back to another Six Happening video. Today is going to be a little different. Today we're going to talk about the NHL. And I'm not sure if you guys know, but at Six Happening with Matt and Taz, the people that are involved with this are well, we're very big Toronto sports fans. So we like the Leafs, we like the Raptors, we like the Jays. It's unfortunate that the Raptors got out so quickly in the first round, but they're a young team and they're still improving. They'll be back next year. I think the Jays will go far this year. Yeah, so this is going to be a sports talk. I totally expect the Jays to go far and make the playoffs this year. Um, TFC, I'm excited to see their games as well. But today's topic is going to be about the Toronto Maple Leafs, which I've been a fan of since I was a little kid, and their upcoming playoff series, which starts tonight, by the way, against the Lightning. This is going to be a pretty insane series. The Leafs have had trouble the past years of getting past the first round, losing to Boston, losing to Columbus, losing to Washington. Like that's been their boogeyman. Like the first round, they can't get past it. On the other hand, this year has been the best season the Leafs have had. They've had the most wins. They've set franchise records individually as players with Austin Matthews 60 goals, Mitch Marner basically almost hitting 100 points, and most wins in a season, most home wins. Like there's lots of milestones that were hit and lots of records that were broken. Best regular season in I think it's team history. So there's a lot to be excited about. On the other hand, going into this playoff series, the Leafs are up against a pretty formidable opponent in Tampa Bay Lightning, who are the back-to-back Stanley Cup champions, having been won it 2 years in a row. Nobody's been able to beat that team. So in this episode, I just want to break down just like what I see from the teams, a couple stats, and basically just my predictions for how this series is going to go. So let's begin. Head to head this season, the 2021-2022 season, the Tampa Bay Lightning and Toronto Maple Leafs played 4 games against each other. I believe it was 2-2. Like Tampa won 2 games, the Leafs won 2 games, but I think Tampa ended up winning the season series or going 2-1-1, which is like they lost in overtime in one of those games or something. So basically, the two teams split the series. Let's go down to break down basically the style of play. The Leafs like to play a fast game. They play on the rush. They make crisp passes. They're accurate, and they like to use their offensive power to overpower teams, to wear down teams. They have fast, mobile, skating defensemen, and recently they've added like people like Giordano and Labushkin that have added that physical element to their back end, to their defensive game. Yeah, we have guys like in on the fourth line forwards that can be physical as well. Wayne Simmons, Kyle Clifford, which I think they're going to be in the lineup tonight. So in the past, at least, I've been criticized for not being physical enough in the playoffs, and it's been one of their downfalls, unfortunately. This year, I've noticed even star players like Marner, Matthews, Nylander, like playing physical as well, throwing the body around. So that bodes well for the playoffs because if they can do that while still playing their game, it bodes well for a Leafs run, or a potential Leafs run. The Leafs, more than any other year that I've noticed this year, have a lot of depth throughout the lineup. Lines 1 through 4 can make you pay and score if you're not careful. You couldn't say that about other years. Other years, the Leafs maybe had 1 or 2 lines at most that were pretty good. The third and fourth lines were like kind of like they weren't as trustworthy and as impactful as they are now, in my opinion. So a lot's going for the Leafs. They have a 60 goal scorer in Matthews. They have an almost 100-point guy in Marner's. They have like Nylander who got 80 points. He's got a career high in goals. Tavares has had a strong year. Riley is like he's having a great year in points percentage. So the Liljegren and Giordano and the back end on defense have been really good. So it's this Leafs team is looking really good. What's gonna make or break it for me in this series is how are they gonna adjust to Tampa Bay's physical play? On the other side, Tampa Bay Lightning are I mean, it goes without saying, they're the champs, right? They have a world-class goaltender that's won the Vezina Trophy. When he's on top of his game, he's unstoppable pretty much. On the Leaf side, you got Jack Campbell, who's a very good goaltender. He's a very good goaltender, but it still remains to be seen how he's going to handle the increased workload and pressure and stress that comes with playoff hockey. How is he going to be in the big moments? Is he going to be will he be able to handle it? Is he going to be able to bail the Leafs out when they have breakdowns in their own zone? How is he going to do? That's what everyone is wondering. Will he rise to the occasion or wilt under the pressure? There was a point in the middle of the season where Jack Campbell didn't play that well, and so that's kind of one worry that I have. But lately, he's been on a run where he's found his game and been come back to form, and I think that that's going to bode well for the Leafs if he can continue to keep up that strong play. It's going to give them more of a chance to, when they have breakdowns, he'll bail them out, and they'll be able to like respond or to any bad things that happen during the series or in the games, and then come back and counter punch Tampa. On the Tampa Bay side, I mean, they're stacked. They got Corey Perry, they got Patrick Maroon, very strong physical fourth line. They got Killorn is an established player on the third line. They got Cirelli, they got Palat, they got Point. All these players are very good players for them. The Leafs have Kashe, Engvall, Mikheyev. There's a lot of depth on both sides, that a lot of players that can make a difference, that can be that X factor. So it's going to be a very even series, and shows how much the Leafs have come, that their depth can pretty much rival a Stanley Cup champion. So you couldn't say that about them other years. So it's pretty cool to see as a Leafs fan. Obviously the top two lines for Tampa are amazing, right? With they have Kucherov, they have Stamkos, they have the other guy that plays with them. I think it's Coleman, or I'm not sure who else plays with them, but they're very strong players. And yeah, it's going to be a pretty insane series on the back end. Obviously, the Leafs, although Riley's their best defenseman, I don't think they have anyone that matches up with Victor Hedman. This guy's one of the best defensemen in the league, and he's amazing. He's obviously has been one of the premier defensemen over the last few years, and people are very excited about seeing him in the playoffs again. So the Lightning have Mikhail Sergachev, Corey Perry, Brandon Hagel. They get picked up at the deadline. It's this team is very deep. So you could say the same about each side, but it's going to be a pretty intense series. And even they picked up Tampa Bay picked up Nick Paul from the Ottawa Senators, and he's added spark to any line that he's been on. So yeah, it's going to be pretty intense. It's going to be physical. It's going to be, as to quote the Leafs coach, borderline violent physical series. How are the Leafs going to be able to handle this? How are the stars for the Leafs going to either rise to the occasion or fall when the pressure gets going, when the pressure gets tough? So I mean, any Stanley Cup winner, any team that's gone far in terms of the NHL hockey that I've noticed watching throughout the years, their star players have been able to maintain their game while we're like playing through that physicality that other teams are throwing at them and being physical themselves. So far, I don't know if it's been age or not enough experience in the playoffs or what it's been, but star players for the Leafs haven't been able to do that. If they can do that and find their way through the physicality, still play at a high elite level, they can get past the 2 times defending Stanley Cup champions. I honestly believe that. As well, I mean, on the Tampa side, their star players are, this is a battle-tested team. They've gone through adversity and they've overcome it. Like, their star players play through physicality. They're physical themselves. They throw the body, and they know how to play through that. Like, they're more experienced, right? So the Leafs can take a page out of their book, and if they can do that, they can certainly beat this team, in my opinion. It's a very interesting series because we've never seen these two teams play together in the playoffs. So I'm very excited to see how they match up with each other. And if, in fact, the Leafs have learned anything from their past failures, now coming to face this like juggernaut of a team. So if we want to break down this series a bit more, I'm going to look at some stats here and break down the series a bit more just in terms of like the head-to-head matchup between these two teams. Another thing that would go in the Leafs' favor is they have home ice advantage against most teams in the playoffs. So if they can use that to their advantage, if they can use the excitement that Toronto has for them, that the fans have for them, all the vibe around the city for this playoff run, I think that they can. I think that they can push ahead in this. They're gonna at least need to win one game at home and then one game in Tampa. So let's see if they have what it takes. On the other side, Tampa's on a mission to be the first team in a long time to win 3 Stanley Cups in a row. You could say that maybe they're tired from winning 2 back to back, but then again, sometimes will and determination trump being tired or fatigue or just that you want that will to win, with that thing that's been missing from the Leafs roster in the last few seasons. So we'll see who can will their team to win more than the other team. Looking at the head-to-head numbers here, over the season, actually, if you look at it, Vasilevskiy has had a bit of better numbers than the Jack Campbell on the Leafs. So his save percentage in the league in this season was .917 compared to Jack Campbell's .914. So it's pretty similar numbers. Vasilevskiy's been a tiny bit better through 63 games played. Obviously, Jack Campbell was injured for a while, only played 49 games. But there was a stretch in the middle of the season where Jack Campbell did not play well. And I don't think Vasilevskiy had a stretch like that. Like obviously Vasilevskiy, he hasn't been his usual strong self this season as compared to other seasons. This hasn't been a particularly strong season for him, but obviously people are going to give him the benefit of the doubt because he's a Stanley Cup winning goalie. He's won the Vezina Trophy, and he's done it before. People have seen what he's capable of in the big moments in these playoffs. And Jack Campbell's more of a question mark. They don't know how he's going to be. So, I mean, at the end of the day, the way I see it is you're going to be a question mark until you do it. So if Jack Campbell can play well and be strong in this playoffs, then he's not so much of a question mark anymore. And people have a sample size to go off of um now to like so they can judge him about what he did. So they don't have that sample size right now with him, and that's why I guess you could say that Andre Vasilevskiy, obviously there's an edge there in net, right, for them. But like with any goalie, the Leafs would have to get in front of him, block his eyes out, and just make life difficult on him. You don't want routine saves like shots from the point that he can easily see. You're gonna have to get in there. Leafs are gonna have to be willing to take a beating and get in front of him. Basically, go battle, go to war for your team, for Jack, for the city, for the fans, for the franchise, and go to war and be willing to take a hit, be willing to block a shot, be willing to get in front and be willing to get some dirty goals, which are commonplace in the playoffs. So I would say edge Tampa in net. That's the first thing. In terms of defense, team defense, the Leafs have gotten better at that this year. Obviously, the Lightning, that's been a staple of their game and what has helped them to win back-to-back Stanley Cups. The Leafs adding Giordano and Lyubushkin, they've really improved in that area. Obviously, with Tampa having Bogosian, with the Leafs had, he's a big guy, big strong guy that can defend. Hedman, Sergachev, McDonough, like these are very good defensemen. So yeah, I would give the edge slightly to Tampa in terms of like roster, players that they have, but the Leafs have much improved in that area, and it's not as much of an edge or an advantage as other years would be. So the Leafs defense has been very good. So this is not going to be a cakewalk for Tampa's forwards just coming in and scoring and things of that nature. On the other side, in terms of forwards. So edge Tampa and net, and edge Tampa on defense slightly. And on forwards, I would say honestly, they're pretty even, but I would give the slight edge to the Leafs just because of the fact of how they did this year. The Leafs as a team scored 300, I would believe 300, and the Leafs as a team scored 312 goals this year, if I'm not mistaken. 315 actually. So that's amazing. It was only behind the Florida Panthers. They're only behind the Florida Panthers, who had 337 goals this year. That yeah, that they're behind. So they've been a very amazing team offensively. The Tampa Bay Lightning have had 285 goals. So I mean, it's no slouch. They've been very good offensively as well. They've been known as an offensive team, right? But I would give the slight edge to Toronto. Both teams are very deep on the forward front. Both teams have three great offensive lines that can score, that can provide depth scoring as well. That fourth line matchup for me is very intriguing because you don't know how each team. I believe those fourth lines are going to cancel each other out just because of the fact that like they're both pretty physical lines that have an element of grittiness that they can basically make dirty goals. So that's what I see for the fourth lines. Both fourth lines have physicality. Patrick Maroon, Corey Perry, Belmar for the Tampa Bay Lightning. For the Leafs, Wayne Simmons, Kyle Clifford, and Blackwell all are pretty physical players that can like to muck it up, and they can score as well, and they can make plays. So it's pretty even in the forwards, but I would just give the edge to the Leafs just because they've been more offensive this year, and it's been a breakout year, and a lot of players for the Leafs have very high offensive numbers, and so I would give the edge in forward slightly to the Leafs. Obviously, in terms of experience, the Leafs don't match Tampa. Um, Tampa they're battle tested. They've been in these long playoff runs. The Leafs don't have that, but what other better way to gain experience than trying to take out the two-time defending Stanley Cup champions, right? You're not going to gain much better experience than that. So it's interesting because when you look at it, Toronto should be the favorites because they ended with more points and have home ice advantage. But because of Tampa's pedigree and being the champs and all, you don't really see the Leafs as that much of a big of a you don't really see Tampa as that much of an underdog, and that much Toronto doesn't really look like they have that much of an advantage there, right? But on paper they're better. But at the end of the day in the playoffs, who's better on paper doesn't really matter. It's how the games go, who wins each matchup, who wins the battles, and that's the things that matter at the end of the day, right? So yeah, in terms of wins, the Leafs ended with 54 wins, 21 losses, 7 OT losses with 115 points. Tampa Bay ended with 51 wins, 26 losses, 107 points, 5 overtimes. So that's pretty even there. In terms of, let's see here, just checking through the stats here. Okay, regulation wins. Leafs ended with 45. Tampa ended with 39. Leafs beat them there, and hence why they have home ice advantage. As I mentioned before, goals for Leafs ended with 315 or 312, and the Lightning ended with 285. So Leafs beat them there. Obviously, Tampa has a high offense, but the Leafs just had an even better offense, only second to the Florida Panthers, which were on a tear this year. Goals against, here's a bit different. A bit of a difference in stats here. The Leafs allowed 252 goals this year. Tampa Bay allowed 228. So the Lightning are better at keeping the puck out of the net, and that's defense. Defense wins it. Defense wins in the playoffs. So that might be something to look at there. And you never know. You never know there. But the Leafs have been better defensively, but they're going to have to be a lot better defensively if they want to be able to keep up with the Lightning. And they're going to have to keep that high scoring pace that they've had throughout the season. Obviously, everyone knows in playoff scoring, it doesn't happen as much. But yeah, doesn't happen as much. But so yeah, like I was saying before, yeah, the goals against really make a difference in the playoffs, just because of the fact that like obviously the less goals you let in, the more chance you have to win. And the Tampa Bay Lightning, as seen here in these statistics, are better at that than the Leafs. So if the Leafs want to be able to beat them, they're going to have to really play well in front of Jack Campbell, especially with the caliber of goalie that's on the other side in Tampa Bay. They're going to have to get in front of him. They're going to have to make like difficult for Vasilevskiy, and they're going to have to score on him. because these last few years, the Leafs have been plagued by hot goalies. Tuukka Rask on Boston Bruins, Carey Price on Montreal Canadiens last year, and they've been done in by their goalie on the other side has outperformed the goalie on our side. So this time we need our goalie to be strong in Jack Campbell, and he has what it takes, in my opinion. So here is where I believe the Leafs have the biggest advantage here. Over the course of the year, their special teams have been really, really awesome for the Leafs. And I think this is where the Leafs can have a clear advantage if Tampa Bay wants to get too physical and too rough between the whistles. So here, looking at the stats here, as a team, the Toronto Maple Leafs converted on 27.3% of their chances on the power play. That's good for first in the whole league, in the entire league. So they were very, very, very good on the power play in the whole league. And so if Tampa's going to be causing penalties and getting to the box, the Leafs should be able to make them pay on that. They were number 1 in the league. So on the PK, on the penalty kill, the Leafs were number 8 in the league with 82.1% of the chances they would kill, and Tampa Bay was 11th. So they're pretty similar in that regard, but even still, the Leafs were a little bit better than the PK. So the Leafs have the advantage. They have the advantage in terms of like the special teams. A lot of times, series when they're so even like this, Leafs and Tampa, the way they are, the way the two teams stack up, it comes down to special teams, and I believe this is where the Leafs have the edge, and this is where they could take the series. So you got to look for any little advantage you can get. So here is basically a stat for shots per games played. The Leafs take one of the most shots in the league, so at 34 shots per game. That's amazing. That's a very good number. That shows you how offensive, how strong their attack is. Obviously, the Florida Panthers were first in the league, but the Leafs at 7th in the league. Very good. In comparison to the Lightning, 30 shots on goal per game. That's good for 17th in the league. So they're in the bottom half of the league in that statistic. So the Leafs are very strong, aggressive in terms of their offense, and they're going to have to continue that. In terms of the shots against per game, this is again another defensive metric which plays into the team defense. So in terms of this statistic, the Leafs were 9th in the league with 30 point shots against allowed per game. That's not bad. It's not bad for they're in the top half of the league for that. Tampa Bay was a bit better at 7th in the league with 29.8, but again, pretty similar. But that's what I was saying. In terms of defense, these teams are pretty even, pretty average, and Tampa Bay having the slight edge in defense is only a slight edge. It's not as big an advantage for Tampa as others would have you believe, or in other years where Tampa was stronger. So the Leafs closed the gap in terms of that in defense, and that breaks down the forwards. So again, forwards slight edge to the Leafs in terms of their depth and overall how they played this season and how strong they were offensively. Defense edge to Tampa just in terms of experience, the pedigree, a little bit edge in slight team defense, but it's not much. The Leafs are right there with them. They're right behind them in that statistic. In net, obviously, Andre Vasilevskiy for Tampa had a bit better season than Jack Campbell just because of the injury and that rough stretch that Jack Campbell had in the middle of the season. But I would say that in terms of statistics on paper, the Leafs overall have a better numbers. In net, they have Tampa Bay has a bit better statistics in net, like on Tampa's goalie compared to Jack Campbell on the Leafs. But obviously, if you're just looking at it from outside, most people are not going to pick Jack Campbell from the Leafs over Andre Vasilevskiy. Like they're going to give Andre Vasilevskiy, who's won the Vezina Trophy, who's led the team to Stanley Cups in 2 years in a row, has been very good for a number of years. They're going to pick him over Jack Campbell just because of pedigree, experience, and seeing what he's capable of, as I mentioned before. But this is Jack Campbell's time to shine. If he wants to be considered one of those top goaltenders and considered one of the elite in the league, I mean, he was an all-star this year, so it's not like this guy's bad, right? Like, then he's gonna have to outplay Andre Vasilevskiy, and he'll start to be recognized as one of the best if he can do this in this series. So it's his time, it's his opportunity to shine, and hopefully he takes that head on, because if he does, the Leafs will benefit from that. So overall, I'd like to say that this on paper is a very, very even matchup. Obviously, you could say the Leafs are favorite because if they had more points, they finished the season a bit better than Tampa. They have home ice advantage. Um, Obviously that makes Tampa an underdog, but I could see people saying that Tampa is the favorite just because of the fact that they have that experience, that championship pedigree. The Leafs haven't been able to get past the first round in forever. So I can see a case for either for in terms of underdog, in terms of favorite. So yeah, but in my in my prediction, the way I see it going is if the Leaf stars can play through that physicality and rise to the occasion, as most of the elite players eventually do in the playoffs, they can beat Tampa. They can beat Tampa. They need to outplay the likes of Stamkos, the likes of Cirelli, the likes of Kucherov, the likes of Hedman, the likes of Palat, and Point, and all these players for Tampa. If they can do that and play through the physicality that Tampa's going to throw at them, because obviously Tampa ramps up the physicality in the playoffs, right? Everyone who's watched them the past couple years knows that. So if the Leafs can stars can play can match that physicality and play through that while maintaining their strong game, they can definitely win. Um, I think this series is going to be won and lost with the special teams. If the Leafs can maintain that strong level of play in terms of the power play and the penalty kill, and in terms of just like the teams are very similar in terms of the way they like to play and fast and aggressive and on the forecheck, and just offensive, very offensive and crisp passes and they like to get their offense going. So whoever can get to that game and maintain it more consistently throughout the series, I think will win. And at the end of the day, the deciding X factor, I think two things are going to be the goalies, obviously. Can Jack Campbell outplay Andrei Vasilevskiy? That's the big question. Everyone knows Andrei Vasilevskiy and his experience and what he's done, and he can turn on in the playoffs. Can Jack Campbell be that guy for the Leafs? Can he flip the script? Can he be strong? Not just for one game, but for the entire series? Is he going to get rattled when things don't go well? Or is he going to bounce back and be stronger? Like that's all these questions have to be answered for the Leafs to make it. And I think it's his time. I think it's his time to shine. I think it's the Leafs' time to shine. I think it's their time to prove whether they can do it with this core or not. Because if not, there are a lot of changes are going to happen for them in the offseason, in my opinion. So yeah, are they going to be able to do it? Can Jack Campbell equal Andrei Vasilevsky's play or outplay him? That's a big X factor. And then finally, can the Leafs match and even sometimes surpass Tampa's physicality? If they can do this, I'm telling you right now, the Leafs will win this series. Because we know the Leafs have just as much depth on their forward lines as Tampa does, if not more. The Leafs defense is underrated and it's just pretty strong this year. So it's their Tampa's defense is not as it's not that like I said before, it's not that big of an advantage. So in a lot of these things, the teams are very equal or there's a slight edge for either or. You know what I'm saying? Depending on what you're looking at. So it's the little things that are going to matter in between the game and the little things are going to be like push people forward. For this reason, my prediction for this series, and this is only my prediction, so 6ixhappening's prediction, Matt's prediction from 6ixhappening, Leafs in 7 games. And the winner, the game-winning goal is going to be Marner. Just because of the fact that, like, I think this guy's been, people have been, like, for lack of a better word, shitting on him the last few years, for him and Matthews for not being able to produce in the playoffs. You know, that just comes with maturity. I think these guys are older. I think that the team is more mature. The team is experienced. The Leafs team, they're ready for this challenge. They want to take Tampa head on. And what a beautiful story that would be for them to take out the defending champions and finally get over that first round hump. You know what I'm saying? So I'm picking the Leafs in 7. I'm picking Marner to be the MVP of the series, score that game-winning goal in the game 7, and I'm picking Jack Campbell to. I'm not gonna say he's gonna outplay Andrei Vasilevskiy, but he's gonna at least equal his play. He's gonna match his play. So there's a bold prediction on my part, on 6ixhappening's part, but this is how I feel this series will go. Obviously, other people are gonna have other opinions, but I just feel I just think this is the Leafs' time. You know, they've been losing in the first round for years now. I think they're frustrated. They know the city's frustrated. They know the fans are frustrated. They know the city deserves more. They deserve more. They have a good enough team to make it further. And once they make, if they can make it past Tampa, the sky's the limit for how far they can go and what this team can achieve, in my opinion. So I think it's their time. I think they're ready for this. And like their demeanor and the way they talk and the way they've been talking leading up to this playoff series has been, I sense like a calmness, like a quiet confidence, and like they're very excited and eager to take on this challenge, which is the Tampa Bay Lightning. So yeah, that's our prediction. And again, we're gonna see how it goes. Game one is tonight, and let's see how this series goes. It's gonna be a series of ups and downs. It's not gonna momentum is gonna shift from game to game, and yeah, let's have an awesome series. It's gonna be amazing. Every series this year is going to be pretty cool to watch because even in the East there were 8 teams that were 100 points or had 100 points or more. That's amazing. Like someone else said, that's like basically the teams playing a finals series in the first round. Many teams are playing that in terms of the caliber of team, quality of team that they're facing, with the quality of players. Should be a very exciting postseason. As always, go Leafs go, and I'm hoping for the best, and I hope you guys enjoyed this little series breakdown prediction from our part. And again, we'll see how it goes. Should be interesting to watch. There's going to be a lot of things that happen, unexpected things that happen. Each team, each player that these teams have brings certain intangibles to the game. So it should be interesting. And let's go. Let's go, Leafs go, guys. It's going to be interesting. And let's do it up. Good luck to them tonight. And we'll catch up with you guys when the series ends, and either to be breaking down the season if the Leafs haven't advanced, or to be breaking down hopefully the next series that they play. All right, guys, take it easy. Matt from 6ixhappening. Take care, peace, and go Leafs go, guys. Let's go. Woo! Peace.